We often get the question, is it better to utilize a ladybird deed or a revocable living trust when figuring out how to dispose of my real estate after I pass away? And it's a really good question. The simple answer is a revocable living trust is going to give you more options and more flexibility. Let me explain why. With a ladybird deed, essentially you're saying, I am deeding this property to myself, and if I can rent it, I can sell it, do whatever I want, but if I don't do any of those things, then here are the people who should inherit my property after I pass away. That could be one or more, typically children, but it really could be anybody. And the only problem with that is what happens if one of those people predecease you, right? So if you pass away and you haven't made a change to your ladybird deed, you now have a portion of your real estate that is supposed to go to someone who is now deceased, and now that person's estate has to be opened up to figure out what to do with their portion of the real estate. So while we don't often like to think about things like that happening, and we think that we're going to outlive our kids, sometimes that doesn't happen and it can cause confusion, and you create the ladybird deed in the first place to try to avoid a probate, but if things don't go as planned, a probate might be needed anyway. That's the reason why, instead of utilizing a ladybird deed or enhanced life estate deed to dispose of your real estate, sometimes it makes more sense to utilize a revocable living trust as well, because the living trust is a infinitely malleable and flexible document, meaning we can provide for multiple contingencies. And so you can ensure that a probate will always be avoided, and it can provide for what happens should things change. It's also a little bit easier to amend, right? If you record a ladybird deed, you retain the right to make changes to it, but it involves recording a new deed, essentially, because you have to put the world on notice of what these changes are. Whereas for a revocable living trust, you can go to a lawyer who you can do a one-page trust amendment to make the changes that you want. So I say usually for a revocable living trust makes more sense, especially when you're utilizing more than one piece of real estate, right? You have your homestead and you have vacation homes or rental properties, then being able to deed all of them into one revocable living trust makes a lot more sense than utilizing individual ladybird deeds for all these multiple properties. So that's to give you some things to think about. Ladybird deeds are certainly a very useful estate planning tool, and we do them all the time, but sometimes it makes more sense, especially if we're doing general estate planning in the first place and we're already using a revocable living trust for general estate planning purposes and probate avoidance purposes. If there's a lot of real estate or one or more pieces of real estate involved, we'll say, don't worry about the ladybird deed. Let's just utilize the revocable trust instead. Hope that answers the question. Thank you very much.